Mm, right. So we just I think we have just completed the external environmental analysis, and we may move into, I think, can anybody tell me, we stop from here, no? Right? Can anybody tell me we are stopped from here? I will continue from these points onward, right? Right. Now I think we have 6 weeks, right? We have 6 weeks, so don't worry. So we will cover, and I'll give you a question paper, including past papers, past question, and some model question we cover in my area. So we will, the 6 week, we'll discuss that question paper. Then if the questions comes in that area, you can definitely answer. Now this year also 1.5 questions came. 1.5 questions came. So usually it's 1.5, sometimes maybe 2, or mostly 1.5 questions coming. That means one question and another question half, right? So that is how this question paper comes. Right, let me explain about the strategy. Now we discuss what is, where our organization is, and then we discuss where you want to be. So that is vision, missions, and corporate goals, objectives, and values are, we call where we want to be. So last week we discussed where we are. That means what is our present organizational situation. So that is where we are, where you want to be. So then the third step in strategic management process we usually call, how are you going to be there, right? What is the strategy we are going to use? That is what we are going to discuss. Now strategy is the direction and scope of an organization over the long term. So which organizations are going to achieve in order to fulfill the stakeholders' expectation, and utilizing efficient and effectively your resources in a changing environment. So that is strategy. Strategy tells you what to do, right? So that is principally we call them as a strategy. And then we have a, again we have a, just give you a small understanding. uh, we have a different level of strategies for an organization, right? At the corporate level strategies, the business level strategies, and the functional or operational level strategies. You get an idea about what is strategies, right? So we need to mainly focus on the expansion strategies, but before that we need to understand what are the hierarchy of strategies. So at the corporate level, business level, and functional level. So let me explain what you mean by a corporate level strategy. Now, especially for now, we are going to discuss about, we are going to take some drastic decision about the organization. Usually these decisions are taken by the top management, right? Maybe get the support from the board, right? Because why, we need lot of resources, lot of investments to execute these strategies. Now, example for business expansion strategy, which we are going to discuss another couple of minutes from now, it's a very risky decision. So that sort of a strategy is called corporate strategy. Now, for example, merging, acquisitions, diversification your business, changing your corporate policies, and things like that. So those are some of the examples, right? So most of the time we are spent after this brief introduction of strategies about the corporate strategies that usually take by the top management is usually is a lot, right? But it is an unrooting, usually the corporate strategy and unrooting in nature, right? Because the strategies are high degree of uncertainty prevail. Next level strategy we call is your business level strategy. Now, from the business level strategy, we usually try to obtain the competitive advantages over competitors, right? Especially with reason for market. Now, how we organize this is going to differentiate from another. So, example, the cost leadership strategy, the differentiation strategy, focus strategy. Sometimes we call the market penetration strategy, new product development strategy. So those strategies we need to take into account at the business level. That's a second layer of strategy, right? So these strategy also can be used for business expansion. But sometimes, usually we categorize these strategies under business strategy, specifically how to beat your competitor, right? That's also some sort of some level of corporate also involved. Right. Now, the third strategy is your functional level strategy, like for your marketing strategy, your HR strategy, your research and development, your finance strategy, production strategy, all are categorized under functional level strategy. Now, say for an example, as we correctly discussed earlier, now one of our business corporate strategy, sorry, the strategic objective or strategic goal to open 10 branches in 2021. Now, for that, right, for that we need people. We need to recruit people, or we need to promote people to occupy these 10 branches. So your HR department is preparing a strategy how to fulfill that requirement, right? How many people we need, whether to take promote the internal people or transfer the people, or maybe we are going to hire from outside, or we take in a permanent basis or temporary basis, whatever. That is an HR strategy. So we indicate that, remember. So all these functional strategies or business strategies will support your final strategic plan or strategic achievement of your corporate objectives and corporate goals, right? Okay, these are things you need to understand, right? Okay, and mind you, from this point we may stop the about the brief introduction which I gave you about the strategies, and then later part we are coming with some expansion strategies in detail, right? Okay, now we are up to now what we have discussed. So we discussed about the what we discussed, where are we now, where are we want to be, right? So in great detail we discussed two questions, answering this question, and also we discussed why we need strategies to bridge this gap. That means from where we are now, where we want to go. So that is the strategies, how to be there. Now we move into the fourth stage. Now suppose we use a good expansion strategy, or we go for apply. So we go for implementing one of the strategies which we are going to discuss later, and we need to find it out whether we are going that directions or not. We want to find it out whether we are going on that directions or not, right? Okay, so we need to see whether are we going in the according to what we have planned, right? So therefore, remember how to find it out whether we are going in the same directions or not, right? For that we need to evaluate our plan, right? So we need to evaluate our plan. So that is basically what we are going to discuss now, right? Okay, the third one, the strategy review, evaluations, and control. So are we going in the correct direction? Right? Now here, it's a very important thing again. Why? Why it is very important? Because we need to find it out whether we use the correct strategy, whether we use the correct evaluation, how we are going to measure the performance, how we are going to measure the effectiveness of a strategy, what we are used, that area we are going to cover. Right? Specifically, we are going to discuss about KPIs. Now, what is KPIs mean? Key performance indicators. Right? That facilitate for us to check whether we have the effectiveness of a strategy. Right? So therefore, the strategy evaluation is vital for organizations when we. Now, if you feel it, we are not going in the correct directions, right? So therefore, we can change our strategy or do some modification. So how can we do? Only we review and evaluate our strategy, and then we can take some precautionary action. Right. So now in strategy review, we are going to discuss three basic activities. Right. So first we are going to look at it. Examine the underlying basis for perform strategy. Whether we use the correct strategy. Now remember the strategy what we are going to use of many alternatives. Right? We have a lot of options to achieve some objectives and a goal of an organization. Now I told you last week also, suppose if you want to go to from Boralla to Mahanagama, you can have a different routes. One person can go straight away to a high level road from here and go straight away to Narayanpeta and then turn left like that. Then another person can go from Boralla, Koswata, that area, Rajagiri via. Then somebody can go through the Gold Road and from Dehibala, Bollaskamo. So ultimately, your final destination is Mahanagama. But you can go to three ways. Those are strategies we are going to use. So then we need to find out whether we use the correct strategy. We use the correct path to go to Mahanagama. For that, we need to examine. So then, how can you do that? The second part is to compare expected to actual results. Say when you plan to achieve, say for an example, market share of, say for an example, 2-3%. So that is our expectation, and we achieve only 1%. So there we can compare only if you review, right? And also in the middle way, sometimes we monitoring whether are we going in the correct directions. So that is why we have a lot of review meeting, quarterly review meeting, biannually meeting, monthly meeting. Why we having all a review meeting? So basically we are reviewing our performance. So what do you mean by performance? What do you mean by performance? Mean we are going to evaluate our strategy. So there's three basic activities comes under strategy. Okay, now remember, it's not so easy. There may be a lot of difficulties in strategy evaluation. Why? Because of increasing in environmental complexity. What where we are living is changing every time. So we have to, as an organization, we need to deal with external environment changes. So therefore, it's very difficult to control and monitor. And also another important thing is typicality, predicting the future with accuracy. Nobody can predict the future with accuracy, but why? Because one of the thing is increasing the number of variables. Right now, we never expected this coronavirus to come. It's a variable that increasing the number of variables. As a result of that, some other factors and things like that. And sometimes the observance of plans also may be little outdated today, right? And that may be due to some domestic issue or maybe the global events, one of the reasons, right? And the time span for planning is now, I told you, is a smaller and a smaller and a smaller. You start with 10-year strategic plan, We are confined to 5 year, 3 year, now 3 year also questionable. So these are some of the difficulties in strategy evaluation. All right. Now let's look at it. Some of the methods we can use for strategy evaluation process. And this is the one everybody is writing, the balance scorecard. It is originated by the Robert Kaplan, Harvard Business School, and David Norton as a performance measurement framework at the BCG, and a strategic and non-performance measures for traditional financial metrics to give managers and executive a more balanced view of the organization performance. Now, so the simple thing you need to understand, what do you mean by the balance scorecard? Now, usually we may evaluate the successful launch of the strategy based on more or less financial objective, or based on when you look at the financial performance only, right? Profitability, like that. But this Kaplan and Norton said, no, the financial aspect is not only enough to see whether the organization is growing or whether the strategy is successful. We need to look at it along with the financial indicators. We need to look at the non-financial indicator. So that is how this balance scorecard. Now the name say we have a balance scorecard, right? As the name says, balance scorecard, both financial and non-financial. So that doesn't mean the financial is taken out, but we take along with the financial performance measurement, will take into account the other non-financial factors. So accordingly, so what we suggest, so we said you need to evaluate your strategy in 4 perspectives. One means as is basically your financial performances. Third, customer knowledge, internal business process, and learning and growth. So let me explain a little bit of detail. What are these performance measures, right, in their scorecard? Now, as I explained to you, so they give some marks on that. Say, for example, learning of growth, say a number of employees trained in process improvement. Number of employees survey scores 80% of higher molar. So basically about the employees development. Then the process development. So percentage of processes achieving targets, how many work we need to redo it, right? So maybe wastage or whatever we call, right? That is a process aspect. How our process now, say for an example, housing loan, executions of housing loan, open up an account, so right, and then we look at it how long will take. Now classic example per process is the Sri Lanka, Selinco insurance. Right now, how they have done, they have changed the process element. They said no police report is required for when you make an accident. Earlier, you need to have submit a police report. Now, Selinco came up with a novel idea, so they improved the process. So, what percentage that process change contributing to achievement that target, like that, right? Then you look at the customer's point of view, because customer is the ultimate guide. The percentage of satisfied customers, of market share, how many number of customers increase for your bank, right? How many loan account customers, how many deposit customers are came, like that we look at from the customer's point. Then of course the other financial profitability or whatever. Now, so you look at it. So whether your strategy is successful will measure about all these financials as well as non-financial areas. So that is what the balance scorecard approach as far as the performance performance KPIs are concerned. Still, no questions asked about this balanced performance, balanced scorecard approach about evaluation of strategy. Sometimes you may can come write short notes, right? So then you have to say what is balanced scorecard with respect to performance of a strategy evaluation, right? Okay, so that you need to understand. Then, okay, now we discuss about the KPIs. Now, what are the guidelines? Now, say for an example, we want to set an KPIs. For example, you know what do you mean by a KPIs? KPIs is basically what you call it is an key performance indicators, and these these are heavily we will put this and then come back, right? Uh, Organization use key performance indicators, maybe at multiple levels, right, to evaluate their success in reaching targets, right? So usually organizations use key performance indicators at multiple levels to evaluate their success at reaching targets. And mind you, the KPIs is a measurable value that demonstrate how effectively banks or organization or company is achieving key business objectives, right? And you know the now why we need to set a key performance indicators for a corporate plan or a strategic plan. Actually, it is one of the key component of a strategic planning process, right? And that's what through the key performance indicators only we are going to measure the our plan is successful or not, or another way we call it strategies. Now, for key performance indicators, is you may use quantifiable and unquantifiable, but mainly we are using a quantifiable measures. Then you can everybody can see it, everybody can assess how well is research meet the agreed strategic objective. So the key performance indication usually key indicator and measured in a quantifiable manner. And it can be a numerical number or ratio, right? Now, say for an example, now businesses use KPIs. Remember, the businesses use KPIs in the strategic planning process to provide a benchmark, right, by which they can measure current performance. We can use for a benchmark. KPI can be used as a benchmark to measure the current performances of KPIs, right? And mind you, there are some importance of having a KPI. Sometimes examiner maybe asks about now what are the important. And remember, you need to understand another thing also. Now, different organization, mind you, different organization have different performance indicators. Now, depend on their specific performance criteria. Now, you need not to have the same performance indication measurement. It may be vary from organization to organization, and maybe based on organization performance criteria or priorities. Right now, KPI usually may reflect the relevant industry standard or benchmark. So what do you mean by that? That means we have a KPI in the industry. Now, say ratio analysis of for a liquid ratio, there is a percentage. Now, certain NPL ratio. Right now, those are KPI. We have some industry standard. So, right. So, therefore, KPI we used to measure uh, your industry based on the industry. What is your performances, or maybe compared with last time. last year, right? So KPIs may often reflect relevant industry standards. Okay, right. Now let's look at it now. What are these? What are the importance of KPIs? Right. Let's look at the what are the importance of KPI. Now you see, at first thing you have to say KPI. Businesses uses KPI in the strategy planning process. Why we using? To provide benchmark by which they can measure current performance. Otherwise, we don't know whether our strategy is good or bad. So therefore, the one of the main importance of KPI is to see whether to measure your current performances. Therefore, it can be used as a benchmark, right? And business leaders may rely upon these KPIs to help them to make more objective and scientific planning decisions. Right now, through these figures, the key performance indicators will tell you, right? And for further more objective and scientific planning decision, right? If any changes and things like that. So KPI, also remember, support and influence the business objectives, right? Remember, the KPIs support and influence our business objectives. And also remember, the KPIs are also critical for performance management, right? Whether our entire performance are good or bad. Then also remember, the KPI strengthen the employee morale, right? And also KPI and also foster personal growth. So there may be a lot of importance of KPI, which strengthen the employee morale as well as support and influence of business objective. KPI foster personal growth. You can put in addition to what I mentioned here. Also, you can include some of the points. And KPI foster personal growth as well as employee morale. Then you can say is critical for performance management. These are the importance of SPI. Now, for correct example for KPIs, we usually measure on ROI, return on investment, return on equity, so number of branch expansion, okay, per year, non-performing loan percentage, total deposits, capital adequacy ratio, right, and things like that you can make use of for KPIs. But okay, suppose the examiner may ask from you, so far not asked yet, but examiner may ask from you, what are the guidelines you may use for establishing a good KPI? Right? So what you can use as KPIs to measure your strategic evaluation, right? So first thing you need to understand, it is to be linked to your objectives. It is to be linked to your objective. There is a correlation between or direct view. I mean, anybody can see the relationship between KPI and the performance. So that is measure what is important. So we need to measure profit, sale, or whatever, right? And also it is to be fall in line with stakeholders' expectation. Now, what is why we have all planning and all? Because we have a limited resources. We need to satisfy our stakeholders. So the KPI must fulfill the needs and wants of the stakeholders. What are the needs and wants of the stakeholders? Per EPS, earning per share, the dividend percentage of profitability. That so these KPIs must represent stakeholders' expectation, right? As we say, even though we put in a qualitative target sometime, and it may be converted to quantitative matrix. So that why we need a quantitative matrix, easy to measure. Another important things, KPI also must have a morning systems, the early morning systems. I think you when you're learning about credit, so you see the credit. We learn about early morning systems in the credit management, right? Early warning systems. Then establish a common language. So what you mean by a common language? Common language means everybody, irrespective of your position, need to understand. If I say something, everybody can understand. Profits, market share, productivity, everybody can understand. What do you mean by, what are the things you're going to really measure? That is what do you mean by a common language. Common language is that, right? As well as you must have a balanced approach, right? So it's a balanced approach. And the last one, and KPI must be aligned with the strategy. Whatever the strategy, say for an example, one strategy we may use, market penetration. For example, I will explain what is market penetration later on. So market penetration means more number of customers in the same area. In the say, take for a branch, right? Now you have in your branch catchment area 100 people, say for an example. If you want to, so that's your strategy. You are using market penetration. You want to improve your number of customers. So they say how we are going to measure your performances from here 100 numbers of customers in the branch. Now you want to change it to 150 customers next year. So 50 additional comes. So market penetration strategy. So therefore align with your KPI. What KPI is number of customers. Market penetration strategy means you're trying to develop your product and services, try to get more people in your existing market. So that is your strategy. Strategy need to be aligned with what you're going to measure. So these are some of the guidelines you can make use it for establishing a good KPIs, right? So it should be a fulfill the expectations of the stakeholders. It must have early warning system. Establish a common language that way everybody can understand. Then you must have a balanced approach as well as align your KPIs with the strategy. Otherwise, you cannot see whether the strategy is contributing for your KPIs, right? So these are some of the guidelines for establishing KPIs. So from this point, we are going to finish the tool number 2, and now we are moving to a very important area, right? Now, the business strategies. Earlier we mentioned how to improve your businesses. So that is the second part of your syllabus under corporate strategy. So corporate planning or strategy planning. Right. Okay. Now what we have learned up to now, I'm repeatedly telling you. We discussed where are we now. For that, we did a lot of analytical tool, pestle analysis, SWOT analysis, Michael Porter 5 poses analysis. We discussed little bit of competitor analysis, and we did some little bit of stakeholders analysis and things like that, right? And so we use identify our internal strengths. We use BCG matrix to analyze your product portfolio, and we use PSC. Those are internal and external analytical tool to find it out what is our present situation, both internal and external. Apart from that, we carry out some audits. So then very first day we discuss about where are we going to be. So that is our mission, goals, objectives. So in between, so values are there, right? So we discussed that how to set the where, how to prepare a mission statement, how to prepare a mission statement, What is the difference between vision and mission? Why you think today's context value statements important? My goal. What is the difference between the goal and objective? What are the functions of objectives and what are the characteristics of objective? All things we discuss in details. Right? Okay. Now that's the second. And third one also we discuss how we are going to be there. So that means we want to see whether our strategy is effective or not. For that, we discuss key performance indicators. What is key performance indicator, and uh, and what we're going to do with the KPIs. We use one of the KPIs as uh, as Kaplan balance scorecard methods and what is balance scorecard methods. And we discussed the what is KPI and why it is important in business context when your preparations of strategic plan. And then we finally discuss what are the factors or what are the key components we need to take into account, guidelining when you're going to set good KPIs, right? So that's the second part. Now today we are going to discuss another very important area, right? It's a very important area, right? So that is the Q number 3 is called expansion strategies. Right. Okay, first questions I'll discuss with you. Why we need to improve our business? Why we want to expand our business? Right? Every people, every organization, right, need to develop your business. Right? One of the reasons for improvements or reason for business expansion, one point is to earn profits and more sales, more deposits, more loans. Through that, we are going to earn more profits. That is why one of the main reasons, bottom line. The second reason may be due to some personal fulfillment, so self-actualization. Right? Now, I think you learn about Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So some people want to, he want to be, is his personal satisfaction, self-actualize at the most, large business person in Sri Lanka like that. So this is the large organization in Sri Lanka. This is the largest bank in Sri Lanka. There are some personal fulfillment there. For that reason, we'll go for business expansion. The third reason may go for eliminations of competitors in market. Sorry, some people don't want, the competitors in the market. They want to eliminate the competition in the market. So therefore, they want to eliminate the competitors. So how can one of the way you can eliminate your competitors by improving your business expansion? Okay. Fourth point, you need to go for business expansion to identify there are some gap available in the market where nobody is addressed or fulfill that particular segment of that. Right? So however we call and people are aware that still we have not fulfilled the micro SME requirements, financial requirements of the country. Still there is a gap available. We talk about so many programs conducted by different men, but if you really look at it, still there's a huge vacuum in the market about the access to financial micro SME sector. Right. And also another important area we need to go for business expansion because of diversifying. Now, suppose if you're only doing one business, if really something happened to that business, so you also collapse. So if you diversify your business, So even though one business is collapsed, you may have other business to survive. But remember, the diversifying is very risky business, right? Okay. So remember, so more security available in diversified. That's one of the reasons why we go for business expansion. Or sometimes maybe for survival purposes. You cannot be there because of otherwise, unless otherwise you expand, right? And uh, then go for economic of scale, right? So one way your economic of scale create entry barriers. Nobody is going to come into that your business. And also you need to enjoy large market share, then only your profit increase, right? And eliminations of competitors in market mean you want to create a monopoly situation for you. So likewise, there may be enough reason for you to come up with business expansion, right? Now, there are different stakeholders also expect the business expansion. Now, say for an example, owners, that mean the people, and I mean they want to invest the money, and they will look at it how you're going to expand your businesses, right? And management also may look at their responsibilities now diversifying because you are now moving to different businesses. The employees also look at it, the business expansion in a more positive manner. That means so more your organization expand your businesses, so they think they will be well done, right? And customers also like because customers are more choice available, things like that. And general community also want certain business to be expanded. Why? Because they can get a lot of employment opportunities. Your business is growing. There are so many people to join that particular organization. So community also expect business expansion because they're expecting a good job. And also the government also interested in your business expansion. Why government worried about business expansion? Well, sorry, one factor is because the more the businesses, the government can take taxes, right? Now, but also there are some positive side of business expansion as well as some negative aspects of business expansion. So one is when you're going for a business expansion, always high risk because you're going for another business. And also, you may sometimes polluting environment, a lot of other side effects because of your business, right? Now, but now we discuss why we need to improve your businesses. Who interested? Who willing to expand your businesses, right? For that, what we need to do, right? So we need to have strategies. So that is our lessons today. These are we call expansion strategies, business expansion strategies. Now, businesses may choose to grow one of several main ways. So if you really talk now, once I completed this, all these type of strategies where we can make use to improve your businesses. So you look at it, your bank also using one of these strategies. So again, I told you the strategies used by your bank may be one or maybe mixture of, or maybe two, three, right? It depends. Right. Now, remember this very important thing from now onwards. So we have identified any organization, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 ways we can expand our businesses. We can make use 5 expansion strategies in that case. Is a very broad term. right? Either you can use one or you can use combination. Now for that, we need to understand all these 5 expansion strategies in greater length, right? It's like this. What are the advantages of this? Then what are the disadvantages of these expansion strategies? What is mean by these expansion strategies? And all things we need to study. What are the pros and cons of one of each and every strategy? So what are the basic 5 ways? So your businesses can be improved or business can be expanded using 3 main strategies. That is what we call concentration, integration, diversification, internationalizations, and cooperations. Right. Now, be carefully. So you try to listen, right? And then you never forget. You can listen to me now. You maybe never forget. Take one by one, and we are trying to explain in details. But before that, right, you need to understand. Now, when you are going to select, now I told you, or some organization use concentration strategy a lot. Some are using integration strategies. Some are using diversification strategies. Some are using only internationalization strategies. Some are using cooperation strategies. Now, whatever the strategy you are going to use, remember that, right? According to the Johnson and Scholes, the recent guru of strategic management and strategic planning, he said you need to look at it, your strategic choice, in 3 aspects or 3 criteria. What is the suitability? The strategic positions filling the present organ, how it fitting to the present organization, right? Now, suppose if you are going to come up with some strategy, to what extent this particular strategy you are going to implement are fitting to your existing organization. So that is suitability. Second, the feasibility. That is strategic capability. So what is in practice? Is it feasible enough to us to to apply this? How feasible? Is the cost effective? Right? Things that we need to look at. SFA is the last one, is the acceptability. So acceptability is in line with stakeholder expectation. Now, if I say stakeholder, whoever who is interested about your organization, we call stakeholders. So your employees, your management, your shareholders, all your stakeholders' expectation. So that is how, what extent your stakeholders are accepted your strategies. So for that, you need to look at it. Suitability, feasibility, acceptability, strategy, which you are going to use it, or which you are going to sell it, to implement. So you need to look at these three facts. What are these? Suitability, feasibility, and acceptability. Right? Now the suitability mean to what extent you may fit into the existing strategy. Now, say for an example, is if you now say, අපි පුතේ උඹ ඕන කෙනෙක් බැඳගත්තට කමක් නැහැ. හැබැයි අපේ පවුලට ගැළපෙන කෙනෙක් මන් තෝරගන්න ඕන. So what do you mean by that? It's a suitability. Then we come to the feasibility. I'll take some example, right? Feasibility, right? Feasibility mean අපිට එක්ක ගැටෙන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා බලන්න. right? අපේ තරහ කෙරවට අපේ level එකට අපිට මේ සමහරට කියනවා අපෝ සමහරට අම්මලා තාත්තලා කියනවා නේද? ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කියන්නේ අපෝ මෙයාව නම් මේන්ටේන් කරන්න මෙයා බැදගෙන පුතේ ඔයාට මේන්ටේන් කරන්න නම් හම්බෙන්නේ එයා අමුතු කියන්නේ යාගේ ලයිෆ් පැටර්න් එක වෙනස් ගෙදර උයන්න බෑ you need to have a servants and things like to what extent that strategy is feasible. Now, selections of a girl also make a strategy your life, right? A girl or a boy, both. Then acceptability. So acceptability mean okay, කොහොමද දැන් මෙයාව ගෙදර අය පිළිගනීද? Stakeholders. අම්මා, අයියා, නංගි, සීයා, ආච්චි, මාමා, නන්දා, Bapa will accept this lady. So that is acceptability, right? Only different is you may use only one strategy, right? But in case in strategy plan, you may use combination of strategies, but in real life situation, you can use only one strategy. Okay, I just give you food for thought. What do you mean by suitability, feasibility, and acceptability? Making your strategic choice. Okay, now what we are going to discuss? We're going to discuss one by one, right? Type of strategies with some examples. Okay, first we'll take the concentration strategy. Another name for concentration strategies we call intensive growth strategies. We call them as intensive growth strategies. Now, intensive growth strategies mean basically we're trying to improve our businesses. Now we want to improve our sales in maybe in terms, if you take the banks, we take deposits or the loans or whatever, right? A business that wants to increase sales to its target customers might use intensive growth strategies. So that means if you want to improve your sales to your existing customers, now the customers you are presently dealing with using of your product and services, if you want to improve further, so we call intensive growth strategies, right? So we have a three type of intensive growth strategies, right? We have three type of intensive growth strategies. So the intensive three growth strategies are basically we call them as market penetration, market development, and a productivity, right? So these are the three type of intensive growth strategies. Another name for intensive growth strategies means a concentration strategies, right? So we are going to catering to existing customers, and also then we try to improve the businesses. We're going to expand my business activity by using intensive growth strategies or concentration strategies, right? Okay, I think you understood. For that, we have three type of strategies. We are going to discuss under intensive growth strategy. What is that? Market penetration, market development, productivity. Now, to support that, you know, the guy called the Ansoff, right? Guy called the Ansoff. Ansoff has developed a methodology called the market product development, right? Okay, let me now explain market penetration strategy, right? And then I think it's very easy to understand. Now see whether how you apply, right? So the market penetration Now, what happened in market penetration strategy? So market penetration strategy is nothing. Getting your existing customers to use more product, as well as you may try to attract your competitor customers in your present market, right? Or ask the people to use more. Okay. Now, market penetration mean in that sense attempt to increase sales and a business in the current market. Now, how can you do? Now, we'll take a simple example where I think you can easily remember. We take as Unilever company, right? We take Unilever, right? Now let's look at it. How these Unilever company use this strategy. Now, what they want to do? They want, say, for an example, with a toothpaste, say Signal. Now, what is the strategy they use it to improve their businesses or improve their toothpaste? Using market penetration strategy. Now, you may recall, now what they are telling? ඔබේ දරුවාට දවසට දෙපාරක් දත් මදින්න පුරුදු කරන්න. Right now, what we are telling, what Unilever is telling, so tell your children to brush your teeth twice a day. Right? So earlier they used only morning. So now they was asked to use in the night also before you're going to sleep. So therefore, now you need 2 tubes because you're using twice a day. Now to support that, the Unilever comes with a slogan called, now you will remember, no? ඔබේ දරුවාට යහපත් පුරුදු කරන්න. A nice slogan. And you remember the slogan they use? කාටත් කියන්න, රැටත් මදින්න, like that small catchy things. So you are not telling new people to come and do. What you are doing your existing users to use more. Your existing users to use more. Another commercial you can remember, we use the Sangakara by Unilever, right? Even now, today's context, right? So, once you complete some job, make sure that you are wash your hands. So, more you wash your hands, what happens? Your more product is usage. So now in today's level of Corona, do the same thing. Every time you try to wash your hands. So what is moving? More you wash, your product finish quickly. I mean, its usage is increased. Right? Now see, there is a market penetration strategy used by generally. Now our bankers use the same strategy to improve your businesses. Yeah, we banks, he will use. You have products also similar to that. What is the product they are using? We see if you deposit so much of, especially for children, we target. If we have the deposit of 1 lakh, we give you a small gift. If you deposit 2 lakhs, we give you another small gift. Like that. Based on the amount you deposit, they will give you some gift. Or otherwise, you may have a different interest slabs. Your balance is come to this amount, we'll give you a 4.5. The balance is come to this amount, we will give you a 5% like that. So you have a progressive savings account. Some banks are having. So if you're what we are telling now, we are not telling, we are telling existing users to use more. Think about the loans. We have a top-up loans, right? So existing loan accounts holder to give another loan, or maybe to increase the loan amount. Now say credit card. So after sometimes whatever, your limit is 1 million, say, or your limit is 100,000. If you're done good with your credit card, so they say now we have automatically, even without asking, to extend or my credit limit, the organization itself give you, okay, we are pleased to know that due to the better relationship we had with you, been a long lasting, long service customer, so we take steps to increase your credit limit from 1 lakh to 2 lakhs, like that. So that means your existing users to use more. That's the one. Then the second one, there may be a customers, say one branch for an example. Take example in your branch, right? So you are not participating, no Buddha. You must tell something, no. Huh? Gihani, no? Gihani, you like to contribute something? Now sometimes you may say, suppose if you are working for a branch, so your branches have a catchment area, so that means your number of customers in that area may be around certain roads. Within that road, you have around 50 customers, but the people who are living in that area may be 100. So you may carry out a house-to-house campaign or something, and you're trying to improve your number of customers, right? From 50 to 75 within your same area. So what is the strategy you are using? You are using market penetration strategy. Now, I'll take an example for you to better understand. We take the Unilever again. Now, Unilever use the mobile van. Sinaha, Viva, can you remember? They will take this with some surrounding area and give some free toothpaste, toothbrushes, get them non-users to use. If you don't have an account, you may come up with some suggestions, right? We'll give you a free gift if you open an account. Now a lot of banks during these days may practice, because March 8th going to be the Women's Day, so a lot of banks may come up with some competitions or some promotional campaign to attract ladies to their branch or to the bank. So they do something. Right now, some say you can have it on this Women's Day. In your branch, you can say, if you don't have an account, please come and open account with us close to our branch, and we will give you a small gift, right? Something like that. Now, I saw there are some masks also branded with their logo. So people are going to that level. Certain masks, they're giving free of charge, but they have branded the masks. That's a good marketing tool today's context. Why? Because every time you use it, you go everywhere, you carry with the brand, right? With some so good marketing tool, right? So that's a market penetration. Or non-users, one method is existing users to use more. Your current account holders to ask to deposit more money. Second one, in your catchment area, so there are some people you don't have an account, so take opportunity for you to open more accounts in your branch area, like example for women's name. I'll just give you an example only, right? Third one, you may have in your area, in your catchment area, that catchment area, I mean your branch area, there may be a customers who have a account with another bank. Say again, I'll take an example for your street, your ladies account, right? Take an example for your ladies account. So they are maybe having other banks accounts, women accounts. But how can you bring that to your bank? So you have to do something, right? So this is the whole purpose of a market penetration strategy, right? Now I think you know what is market penetration strategy. So this strategy, you can use it for to what extent you can use it market penetration strategy. You can market penetration strategy. So you can use it for expand your business. And remember, it's very, very simple, cost effective, less risk method. Here what you're trying to do, you're trying to improve your businesses by catering to your existing customers. You'll ask your existing customers to deposit more. You take the competitors' customers to your bank branch within your bank area, your branch area. As if you don't have any account, so open free account and bring it to your bank. So one method is what you call one concentration strategy, market penetration. I think you understood. Now we're moving to market development. Another way you can improve your businesses. You're using your product and services. How? Market development. So market development is simply your attempt to improve your business to reach a new location for its products. Now say for an example, why you open branches? Why you are going to export your goods? Why you open branches and why you are going for open a branch in another country? So you want to expand your market. Now think, why you want to open branches? Now say for a classic example, I'll tell you. Now think Bank of Ceylon and your bank. Now People's Bank, Bank of Ceylon, we have around about 500 numbers of branches. Think you are having around 100 to 150 branches. So customers are not come to your bank branch or your bank spending 100 rupees or 200 rupees, right? They're not coming. So you are losing businesses in that particular place, right? So therefore you need to look at it, how you can improve your businesses by open branches in other areas. So by you going for a new branch opening, right? A lot of people are now talk about opening new branches are not valid, but still in Sri Lankan context, people willing to go to the branch. Even though we talk about the digitalization, branchless banking, whatever, still we have a opportunity, right? Till such time, right? But still people like to go to the branch than doing digital. People like to deal with people, not with machines. But machine will support with the people. Okay, then the cost will come. That's a different story. But market development strategy you can use for expand your businesses. I think you understood. This is second type of strategy comes under concentration, right? Under concentration, right? So new distribution channels, also to some extent the market development, right? Come, because you can provide product services, new distribution channels. Now mobile banking or also market development to some extent, right? You're going for a new area, right? Through bank development, you may use for untapped markets. So if you have excess capacity, now say you have staff, too much of staff. So what to do? You can put into the another branch, newly open branch, and put them there, because anyhow you're going to incur the cost for staff. So why not open another branch? As far as the risk is concerned, this is little riskier than market penetration. Why you are going to go for a new place? You don't know whether the business is going up, unless otherwise if you have a proper strategy, your business may take time, right? Okay, so that is market development. So I don't want to explain, when you go for a open new branches, you can't just open branches like when you open a shop. So you need to follow a certain procedure. So you need to obtain, you need to develop a feasibility study, and then feasibility study you take into account the potential of that area, then to what extent you can convert it into profit center. Then what is the schools, what are the universities, or whatever the business opportunities there, right? How many people are there? You look at the density of that particular area, right? How competitive that area. All factors you need to look at it at your feasibility study, and then that feasibility study needs to be approved by your board of directors. And then once the board approved, it has to go to the central bank for further approval. With usually you have to provide the plan, year plan for central bank, and we see whether your present bank branch is having included in your branch plan, right? And then central bank approved, only you can start the business. That is something else, but it's the market development strategy you can improve for your businesses, right? Okay, the third strategy is comes under concentration strategy or intensive growth strategy. Is called product development. Now we learned, right? So what we're trying to do, we are going to come up with a new product for your existing customer, or we are trying to modify some of the existing product the customers using. So remember, we learn under internal analytical tool. We discuss about portfolio analysis, and that we discuss in greater length is product life cycle, right? You look at it, new product. In banks, we have a new product development committees, right? Separate committees. So their job is to develop the new product, as not only to develop the product, and also you need to review the existing product. You know why? The product has a life cycle. When the products come to the growth stage or the maturity stage, product's going to come down. So you need to take steps for relaunch the product. I explained to you in details last week, that sunlight never looking. Now, why sunlight is there? Because once it's come to maturity stage, they keep on extending the products. Or come up with totally new product. Right? Okay. Right. So likewise, banks also can do that. Come up with a new product which is not catered by, or nobody has fulfilled their requirement. They have identified the gap in the market. We discussed reason for business expansion. We have identified the gap in the market. No bank will fulfill that requirement of the customer. So through the development of new product, right? Also, you can come up with, and to get some more customers, through them, we can expand your business, right? So those are somewhat, when you're compared with market penetration and market development, product development, it's a little riskier, but you can make use of it. These are the three types of products. So we are learned. Now see, all banks are doing, right? Banks are doing. Because for that, we must have a more research and development capabilities in your banks. We need to look at it when the market is growing. Are there people's needs and wants are changing? And or maybe competitors may come up with some more innovative products than us, right? So all factors we need to take into account. But remember that these three products, right? Product development, market penetration, market development can be used as a market as intensive growth strategies, or another name we call concentration strategies. Right, now we learn. Now look at it whether your bank is with all these things. Yes, no. So your banks not only not only consumer companies, but banks also heavily use these methods to improve your business. And these three strategies are very simple, easy to understand, comparatively less risky of applying. Okay, now we have learned one strategy. Now we move into the second strategy, and a lot of questions is coming on this area in the exam. We call integration strategies. So sometimes we call integrative growth strategies. Why we put growth? We are learning growth, business expansion strategies only. There are some strategies which I'm not going to touch with you, like enrichment, like divestiture. So those are not expanding. They are trying to use for survival. But here the main topic in your syllabus is given expand. So what is the strategy you can use to expand your businesses? Now we have already discussed three: market penetration, market development, productive. So let me explain now the integration strategy. What is integrative growth strategy mean? That's of course the first thing you need to understand. Now the integrative growth strategies mean combining one or more operations of a business with no change in customer group is called expansion through integrations. All right? When I explain all these things, then you maybe have a better understanding, right? With some example. Now, integrative growth strategies, therefore, is a type of a growth strategy. Now, you can align company to expand within the industry by growing vertically or horizontally. So that means, very broadly, you can divide integrative growth strategies into two: vertical as well as horizontal. Right? Vertical and horizontal. So we can see there are two types of integration strategies. One is vertical integration strategies and horizontal integration strategies. Okay. Let me explain now. What is this integration and what do you mean by vertical and horizontal? Now, how you use to expand businesses by using these strategies. Right. Let me explain now. What is vertical integration? Now, vertical integration means, now if you want to improve your businesses, what you can do? You can take over your distributional channel. Or one method is you can use your suppliers. Right? Now, it's like this. Now think about this. So this is your one of your past question paper. What is vertical integration in relation to the company expand strategy? This question came in I can't remember, it's 2017 in your exam paper. What is vertical integration in relation to its company expand? Now, forget about all these words. Easy. It is an arrangement or it is a strategy where by a company or by an organization owns or controls, take over or merge, right? Owns or control its suppliers, distributors, or retail location to control the market. So it is an arrangement in which the supply chain of a company is owned by that company. The strategy used by a company to gain control over its suppliers or distributors in order to increase the firm's power in the marketplace. Now, there are some advantages of this. What are the benefits of a vertical integration? So, through the vertical integrations, right, you are trying to control the process, and thereby you try to reduce your cost and improve your efficiencies. Cost, process, and efficiencies. But remember, one of the main disadvantages of vertical integration is highly cost. You need high capital. You need large amount of capital investment. That's a disadvantage. Right? Now, good example is vertical integration. Is, say, for an example, suppose you are an organization where you may have say, for an example, you may have garment industry. Say, I just give an example, garment industry. You saying all these, the clothing and all, shirts and all. What do you need? You need raw material. You need textile material. Now, you want to sell these things in outlets, customers to purchase. You are only manufacturing shirts. In order to manufacture shirt, what do you need? You need clothes or raw materials. You need chips, button, or whatever you would require. And also, once you complete your shirt, you need to sell it to the customer. For that, you need a distribution. That means you need shops. Now, what the vertical integrations mean here, you as a manufacturer of shirts, you take the control over your suppliers. Then you ensure that you have a ready-made continuous flow of raw material. And also you have taken over, or maybe take one of the distributional channels, so you already establish, right, into your hand. So now you distributed your shirts in your outlets. So now you have gained control over its suppliers as well as your distributors. So that strategy is called vertical integrations. And also, mind you, the vertical integration based on that can be divided into two types. What's the two types? We call forward integration and backward integration. Now, what do you mean by a vertical integration? Forward integration, the strategy used by a company or organization to gain control over its distributors. Now, if you take only the distribution arm, we call it's a forward integration. But if you take the suppliers, we call backward integration. So the vertical integrations can take place in forward integrations or backward integration, or both. Right? Clear? So that is vertical integration. Now, what all these integrations try to do? Expand your businesses now. Earlier you only manufacture, now you supply. You're going to manufacture also, you're going to take over the raw material, the cloth materials, as well as distribution. Now you know there are two types of vertical integration. We call them as forward integration and a backward integration. I hope you understood. If not, please tell me. Right? The third integration, we call them as, I told you, integration strategies, two types, is what you call horizontal integration. We call them as horizontal integrations. Horizontal integrations. So what is horizontal integration? Now we discuss here, right? We discuss here horizontal integration. What? We are trying to take over our competitor. We're going to take over our competitor. And that is horizontal integration. right? If you're going to take over a competitor, we call horizontal integration. Now, because of this now, similar organization who do the same thing like us, right? Now, if two companies, two organizations in the same industry with similar product lines are merged or acquired, we call them as horizontal integration. Now, because of this horizontal integration, you can experience economic scale, yes, economic of scale. So you can increase your market share now because now we also take, okay, right. Now take example here. Now I'll just take an example. Say car company, car manufacturer, right? Okay. This is your company, your car manufacturer. So this is your car manufacturing, your manufacturing company. So you're going to take over, say for an example, civil industry maybe truck manufacturer, and you're going to take over, say for an example, bus manufacturer. What is that we call? This is what you call horizontal integration. This is also horizontal integration. Suppose if you are going to take over car retail places and you're going to take over some car components or maybe spare parts or whatever. What is this? You're going to take the distribution. That is called forward integration. What is this? You're going to take some car components which manufacture a car. That is what you call backward integration. Now, early only you do car. Now we are going to take over the other companies who manufacture in same industry, transportation, bus, track. Through horizontal integration, business expansion. Now you are going to take over the retail outlets or the retail places where you're selling your cars. That is your distribution, forward integration. That is your own network. To manufacture car, you need certain components. That components you take over and is called backward integration. All these methods, what you're trying to do, you're going to achieve your to improve your business, expand your business. Right? I hope you understood what you mean by it. So this year's exam, in your this year's exam, one question is, one question is usually coming in exam, comparison. Right? One questions came this year is, what is leasing finance companies and specialized leasing company? Briefly explain the difference between each of the following pairs. This questions came this time, licensed finance companies and specialized leasing companies. So I'll just give you an example. It's not, I think you have learned. What is the differences? LFC, entities are licensed under Business Finance Act number 42 of 2011. Whereas companies specialized leasing comes under Leasing Act number 56 of 2000. One point, right? The second point, I'm just giving an example, right? LFC can take deposit from general public, whereas simple answer, specialized leasing companies cannot take deposit from customer. So therefore, there are some specialized leasing companies in Sri Lanka. We have 3 specialized leasing companies in Sri Lanka at the moment, right? Who can only do the leasing, but whereas some banks and finance companies also can do the leasing. And how they generate money to give leasing facilities, issuing, how they do. Now, these people can use public funds, but the leasing companies, they may use instruments like promissory notes, commercial papers, debentures, right? Can use to generate funds. So that's 5 marks. Okay. Now I just give an example, right? The same way you can this time they ask horizontal integration and the vertical integration. So then what you need to write? First you need to write what is vertical integration. Now what are the things you need to write at the vertical integration? It is an arrangement in which the supply chain of a company is owned by that company, is owned by a strategy used to company to gain control over supplies of distributors, right? Or otherwise, you can simply say it is a strategy whereby a company owns or controls its suppliers, distributors, right? That's the vertical integration. And further, you can say the vertical integrations can be further divided into backward integration and forward integrations if you want, right? So then you need to say what is horizontal integration. Horizontal mean if 2 companies in the same industry with similar product line are merged or acquired, you call horizontal integration. Now, what are the benefits you're going to gain from vertical integration? So you basically through the vertical integration issues is you can reduce your cost and improve your efficiencies, improve your processes. Why? Otherwise process impacted your supplier. The output is depend on your distributor. If they not work hard, if they are demanding, so your business is not taking place, right? So those are the things. But disadvantage is costly, right? Both are costly, but this is comparatively costly. Now, when you take the competitor, what happens? You create a monopoly situation. Maybe sometime you can achieve economic of scale. Now you produce more numbers unit, so improve your market share and things like that. So simple, right? Okay. Now we learn up to now what we have learned. We learn 2 types of strategies. Clear? Right. Then we are moving to now the 3rd type of strategy is what you call a diversification strategies. Diversification strategy. If you really understood this, you can answer any question in that area. Diversification growth strategies. All are growth strategies. Now, say for an example, take Swarna Mahal. Swarna Mahal is a jewelry for people, right? Swarna Mahal is a jewelry people. Now they went into diversify their businesses. Why? They want to grow. So they went into pawning, EAP Edrising, they went into Swarna Mahal, Swarna Wahini, and they went into the banking, finance, Swarna Mahal investment and ETI investment and Swarna Mahal financial. Now they diversified. Why diversify? They want to improve your businesses. That is the strategy you can use. For example, but remember, is high risky. Now, if you really look at it, if you see that doing only the Swarna Mahal, that is what everything maybe thought. Doing only the Swarna Mahal, maybe I can't grow. So they may have extorted opportunities within their present industry. So therefore, they may go for new businesses. For that, they can go for related as well as unrelated. I'll just give an example, classic example of Swarna Mahal. Now, they can diversify, which is something is similar to align with their businesses, but is different, but at least related. Now, example of Swarna Mahal or vice versa. What is that? EAP Edrising, phone broker. Is it related? No. Why? Because you take the gold only. If customers are not redeemed, they can use it for jewelry making. That is, they can sell it for Swarna Mahal, their jewelry through the jewelry. So therefore, if they diversify to EAP Edrising own brokers, yes, good. But they also go for unrelated businesses. That is conglomerate diversification, which is nothing to do with pony. So which is nothing to do with Swarna jewelry. We went into the banking businesses, ETI. So you see the riskiness, right? I think you understood this growth strategy. So therefore, diversification growth strategy can be divided into two, which is related to your business, which called concentric or related. A business which are not related at all, we may go for diversification. Unrelated, we call conglomerate. Then again, you can say there are two types of diversification growth strategies. We call concentric diversification. Those are we call related, as well as conglomerate. But concentric diversification, you can further divide it into two. That is what you call synergistic diversification and horizontal diversification. The next one is, as we explained, conglomerate. Now, we earlier discussed vertical integration can be divided into two. What are these two? Vertical, backward and forward. Likewise, concentric diversification, we divide it into two. One is synergistic diversification and horizontal diversification. Right? So, okay. So what is concentric diversification? Now say synergistic diversification. Example. Now you, the guy who produced noodles, normal noodles. අර ලොකු වේවල තියෙන්නේ නේද? අපි දැන් කන noodles දෙක කියන්නේ. Normal noodles and what is the other one? What is how we call the other noodles? Instant noodles like Maggi, Stella and all. But both are noodles. Then what's the difference? But they are concentric. What is concentric? Something related. But slight differences. What is the differences? Technological differences. Manufacturing differences. But both are noodles. Say for an example. Now, Harishchandra. Have you seen Harishchandra producing instant noodles? No. Right. Suppose the Harishchandra want to improve their businesses. They can go for concentric, synergistic diversification. They want to build, manufacture the instant noodles as well. So that is concentric diversification. Only same product, but only technical differences. Suppose the concentric diversification, the horizontal diversification. So that is something you may not produce the same thing, but something little different. Right? So it can be from the competitive products, complementary products, or byproduct. Now, say for an example, you take Abans. We take as an example for Abans. Now, the Abans guys who produce vacuum cleaner, and they're going for a commercial cleaning equipment. Right? Now, butter manufacturer can go in for a skim milk. Right? Now, good example here we can consider a Highland butter, Highland yogurt, Highland milk powder. Right? This is a classic example for concentric diversification horizontal. The next one is what you call conglomerate. This is, there are no any relationship at all. Business expand into completely new markets, so new industries. We call conglomerate businesses. It's also like Selinco has gone for diabetic centers. It's called conglomerate diversification. Right? Okay, now I will explain to you again. So, this type of strategies. Up to now, what we have discussed in the class. In fact, this is good for your, not only your, when you go for your MBA or higher studies also, the strategic planning is important. So even if you are a part and parcel of the management team, you need to know all these things, right? So what we are discussing? We are discussing expansion strategies, right? So we learned we have a different type of expansion strategies. We call, first one is called concentration strategies. Then what is that? We call the next one is integration strategies. Third one is called diversification strategies. Fourth one, internationalization. And the fifth, we may call them as cooperation. So these are the main 5 types of growth strategies. So we learn concentration strategies, or sometimes we call intensive growth strategy. Just give me a minute. Hello? Yeah. Going there? Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Your husband. Oh. Sorry, thousand apologies, right? So intensive growth strategies. So we have 3 types of intensive growth strategies here. One is intensive growth strategies we call market penetration. Then we have a market development. Then we have a product development, right? Product development. So then we have a integrative integrative growth strategies. So we have 2 types of one. What is that? Integrative strategies, we have 2 types. We call horizontal and vertical. Okay. Now vertical, again, we divide it into 2. That is backward and forward. Backward and forward integration. Right? Then we have the third one is what you call diversification. We have just completed. Then at the diversification we have concentric or related and unrelated. So related again further divided into synergistic and concentric. Synergistic can what you call the synergistic can horizontal, right? Horizontal, right? So these are the strategies we learn up to now. So next week we are going to learn another important thing: internationalizations like franchising, franchising and licensing and things like that. And the corporations we are going to discuss greatly merging and acquisition. So a lot of questions are coming on this, right? So all these 5 strategies you can use for expand your business. Okay, so we stop from here and we may continue next week to discuss all other things, right? Okay, so if you have any problem, please ask next week to go through your notes and try to understand. So these are the sort of questions are coming from this area. Okay, right? It's very interesting. So we will continue the other areas as well. Thank you. So we'll see you on next next Saturday. Yeah. Okay, we understood, no? Clear? Right.